How we view ADHD often depends on the lens we use. The medical lens sees ADHD as a disorder, something to treat, manage, or correct. The neurodiversity lens sees it as part of human variation, not something broken, but something different. It doesn't deny the challenges, but it shifts the focus from fixing people to understanding and supporting them. And then there are the lenses or layers we bring as linguists. As interpreters and translators, we move between languages and cultures and identities. We notice what is said, what is not said, and what gets lost or reshaped in the middle. That gives us a different kind of insight, one rooted in nuance, context, and meaning. And this podcast is me experimenting with all of those lenses. I'm still at the start of my self-discovery and neurodiversity learning journey. Some of what I share will be backed by science and research. Some of it will come straight from lived experience, raw, real, and sometimes messy. So buckle up and let's begin. You might be wondering, why now? Because for the longest time, I was trying to fit into ways of thinking, working, and being that just did not work for me. And now that I finally understand how I'm wired, I want to talk about it. Not just for me, but for anyone who's ever felt a little offbeat, out of place, or misunderstood. It's not perfect, but it's real. And it starts here. Hi, I'm Hibba and this is the ADHD Linguist, where language, identity, neurodivergence and real life all meet. This is my first episode, a personal, imperfect reflection about what it means to be wired differently. I was officially diagnosed with ADHD in June 2024. And actually the anniversary is just around the corner as I'm recording this. It was diagnosed as combined presentation, which means I experienced both inattentive and hyperactive traits, and honestly, that makes perfect sense. The diagnosis came after a full clinical assessment, and it confirmed what I think deep down I'd known for years. It explained why things like focus, organisation, emotional regulation, and even rest have felt different for me since childhood. For me, it's not just a label, it's a lens. It helps me understand myself better, and it helped me find tools and strategies that actually work for my brain. I haven't changed, I just finally have an explanation that makes sense. If you had told me a few years ago that my brain was wired differently, I would probably have laughed and said, "Tell me something I don't know." But the official diagnosis made it real, and honestly, it was a massive relief. A confirmation that I wasn't weirdly different, just wired differently. Suddenly, the jigsaw pieces made sense. Why high-pressure interpreting kept me buzzing and sharp, why long solo translation projects sometimes felt like wading through treacle, why admin tasks often got left somewhere between important and never going to happen. It wasn't just a label, it was an explanation, and with it came a shift in mindset. Instead of battling my brain, I could start working with it. I don't take medication for ADHD specifically, but I've built strategies that suit my Ferrari brain. And yes, sometimes it still insists on roaring off into the distance, almost always in different directions. Time blocking, visual timers, accountability partners, permission to work in sprints, all of it helps. Well, most days. Before I was ever diagnosed with ADHD, my body had already started dropping hints. A few years ago, my GP referred me to a consultant to investigate numbness and pain in both hands. After some tests, the consultant confirmed that I had carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel syndrome, or CTS, is when one of the main nerves in your hand, the median nerve, becomes compressed at the wrist. It can cause tingling, weakness, or numbness, especially in the thumb and first two fingers. It's common in people who do a lot of repetitive hand movements like typing, crafting, or certain sports. But then the consultant said something that stuck with me. You've definitely got it, but your nerves react differently. You are wired differently. We both laughed and I didn't think much of it at the time, just a funny comment, or so I thought. But the reason he said it? Well, he was doing the tests and my nerves were reacting in ways he did not expect. And the tingling I was describing was mostly in my ring and pinky fingers, which isn't the typical CTS pattern. So yeah, even then, my body was basically saying, yep, I don't follow the manual. There's growing scientific evidence that ADHD affects how the nervous system processes sensory input, including pain and touch. People with ADHD often experience different pain thresholds and heightened sensory sensitivity. This is thought to be linked to dopamine regulation, which influences attention, movement, and how we process sensation. So while nerve conduction tests aren't used to diagnose ADHD, the way my nervous system responded fits a wider pattern that many neurodivergent people experience. ADHD isn't just about being forgetful or distracted. It's a full body experience. It shapes how we move through the world, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And being wired differently doesn't mean we're broken. We don't need fixing. What we need is understanding. We need systems, support, and people that meet us where we are. Before I go, I want to leave you with something that stayed with me. It's from the book titled Uniquely Human by Barry Prisant. He quoted a lyric in it that goes, "Look close enough, you'll finally see that we're all uniquely human." I think that sums up what this podcast is here to hold space for. Thanks for listening to the ADHD Linguist. I'm Hiba, and I'm so glad you are here. See you next time.